Welcome. It is Monday morning and it is currently 10 a.m. here on the East Coast in America. And I am a very lazy morning person, so I'm having my coffee from bed. I just had a shower, but usually for the first few hours of the day, I work from here and I love it. So I am starting this week off with a little bit of a different challenge. I think that this is going to be very beneficial for me, and I do hope that you will join me in this. My physical health is very on point. When I say very on point, I mean I'm the healthiest physically that I've ever been. I'm at my perfect weight. I'm exercising. I'm drinking all my water. I'm eating every 2-3 hours, and what I'm eating is just packed with like the best things. So my body feels amazing, and as a result of that, my mental health has gotten so much better. And JC always says, on a healthy body rests a healthy mind, and I do believe that. I really do. But I'm always somebody who wants to dig a little bit deeper into the mental health aspect of things, and that's why I'm studying mental health, and that's why I want to be a psychologist one day. It's because I'm fascinated by our ability to become our best selves. Like, is there a cap on that, or is it possible to build and build and build to the point where you're so resilient and so strong and so mentally prepared for anything? So this challenge I'm calling the 50 Days to Healing Challenge, and you don't have to tell me that you're partaking. You can keep this as your own little separate thing. You could have a journal and do it while watching the videos. What I am going to be going through is a 7-week cognitive behavioral therapy program that I'm going to be doing with myself. So I am the kind of person who buys copious amounts of books and then I forget about them. And I bought this 7-week book, cognitive behavioral therapy book. I'll tell you now who the author is. Cover. The author is Dr. Gillihan, Seth Gillihan, and it's called Retrain Your Brain, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy in 7 Weeks, a workbook for managing depression and anxiety. Full disclosure, I have really bad anxiety, really bad depression. I was first diagnosed when I was 17. Went through a very dark time, as all teenagers kind of do. Mine was just a lot darker because I have a chemical imbalance. And I think a lot more people out there have that than what we like to admit, because there's still that whole stigma and shame around it. But regardless of that, that's a whole topic on its own. I wanted to be just transparent and say that I bought this book when I was going through a very difficult time. And I read the first few pages, and when you're going through a really difficult time, you can't really focus on one thing. So it's not actually the best time to buy a book like this, because you're not going to have the ability to work through it when you're in a terrible time. So I'm in a place now where my physical health is on point, and I'm in a very healthy relationship, except I drive him a little crazy sometimes. I just wanted to shout out to JC for being super strong. You have no idea how much it means to me. But I'm in a relationship where I'm really, really happy. I know that I've been through some tragedy over the past few years, when I lost my sister. But still, I'm in a place in my life where I am really the happiest I've ever been. But I still have very difficult days. Very. I get so depressed, I get so anxious, and my anxiety really comes from fear. Fear of losing a loved one, fear of not being able to trust, fear of humiliation and embarrassment. Oof, those are big ones for me. I do not want to be embarrassed. Fear of not being good enough or pretty enough or skinny enough. All of these things that really, at the end of the day, it's all in our minds. You know, JC says this to me all the time. He says, it's the story that you're creating in your mind. And yes, it is. But it's also really difficult to break that story if you don't have the right tools. Tools, I said. So anyway, what this is going to be is every single day I'm going to have a few exercises that I'm going to be doing starting tomorrow. I'm researching this book. I'm making sure that I want to share it with you. I'm very excited about it. I thought I could tell you a little bit about cognitive behavioral therapy because it's a term that gets thrown around a lot lately. And you'll see online people doing cognitive behavioral therapy that have absolutely no training in that. And I would be very cautious. It's an evidence-based treatment used by psychotherapists, psychologists, to help people change their thoughts around things, because thoughts affect behaviors, and that affects our emotions because they all have consequences. So it's like a triangle. So a little bit about cognitive behavioral therapy. It is a form of psychological treatment, and it's incredibly effective when working with people who have depression, anxiety, alcohol and drug problems, marital problems, eating disorders, all the way up to severe mental illness. And you don't have to have a mental illness to do this. You don't. Because we all have things that are holding us back. We all have thought patterns that we could break, limiting beliefs, things that cause us anxiety and stress without us really knowing, because we're not going into the root of things. But what cognitive behavioral therapy does is it teaches us really how to look at our thoughts and our thought patterns, and how to be able to step back from that and go, you know what? I have other options. So what the principles really are of CBT is that it breaks our unhelpful ways of thinking, because our problems are based a lot in learned patterns and in unhelpful behavior. And that unhelpful behavior is fueled by unhelpful thinking. So, so what CBT does is it helps you learn to recognize your distortions, those distortions that are creating problems. And then it teaches you effective ways to look at it from a more advantageous way, for example. So you start then gaining a better understanding of why you're behaving like that, what your motivation is for it, and then you start using problem-solving skills to cope better with difficult situations. And then that obviously teaches you better self-confidence, because now you go, oh, I know how to problem solve. I'm not the victim of my behavior. I can take charge of it. So CBT helps you to face your fears instead of run away from them. And that's something that I really want to work on over the next 7 weeks, because I am a very anxious and fearful person. So I hope that you will, you'll go and research CBT a little bit, and I hope that you'll join me in this. I'm going to come to you completely unplugged, no makeup, hair in a messy bun, having my cup of coffee in the morning in bed, and I'm really excited to do this with you because I have amazing people in my life. I have JC, I have my parents, I have all my amazing friends and my little ducky, and I want to be the best version for them. I do. I want to go to bed every night and know that I was the best person for the ones that I love and for myself. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.